Bardcore, a workshop exploring Shakespeare and wrestling. A group of diverse people sit in a circle on the floor of a room next to a wrestling ring. Two white women wrestle in the ring. A black man talks and gestures with his hands. A white man speaks, another nods. A white man signs. Ben Spiller, 1623, Artistic Director.
We've just had a brilliant day of exploring Shakespeare, wrestling, BSL and creative audio description as a way of mashing up all those different things with wrestlers, actors, theatre makers, academics, students. It's been a really amazing and inspiring day when we've all pulled together to really bring together our areas of expertise to engage audiences with Shakespeare and wrestling in exciting, accessible new ways.
A man signs as two women watch. A man runs past another person, his shoulders drop. The other person turns and faces him. In the ring, a man signs to a woman and she steps back. A group of people watch, smile and laugh. A man jumps onto the shoulders of another man, stands behind him and pushes him forward. He turns round and avoids a punch. Paddy Townsley, professional wrestler.
Absolutely love today. The ability to get to do what we do in wrestling and to mix that with something as, let's call it academic as Shakespeare. It's absolutely wild to see, historic texts being changed into a completely different language with professional wrestling. It's madness, but it's great. Everything comes down to storytelling at the end of the day. And that's why I love wrestling. And today, that's why I love Shakespeare too.
A group of people chat, smile and laugh. Back in the ring, a man picks up a woman while a man watches and laughs. Next to the ring, a group of people watch as someone picks up someone else and carries them. A woman speaks with passion and gestures with her hands. Georgia Andrews, 1623, Associate Trainee.
So much fun. I learned more about Shakespeare, more about martial arts, and I finally got to have the two together, which I've always wanted to do. I saw a play I've been working on for the last 10 years in new lights and new physical languages, including BSL and the language of performance wrestling, and I'm leaving full of energy and buzzing to do more of this.
Evie Carey, professional wrestler.
I found today really interesting. I think the way I wrestle myself is very artistic, and I try and put a lot of emotion and feeling into it. And I think sometimes you can get caught up in the world of wrestling and that aspect, and you kind of forget like the main thing of wrestling is storytelling, is emotion, is feeling. And I think today really opened my eyes even more to it, and hearing people from different aspects of the arts world, hearing what they had to say and their take on things that would be different to my take on things is like a new way of that I can, look at wrestling and take that into my journey and my creative process too. So I really loved it. I hope we get to do it again and do more.
Stephen Collins, 1623, Associate Artist. Stephen signs and interpreter translates.
Today has been absolutely fascinating. I've really enjoyed it. We've been looking at BSL with Shakespeare for quite a while and how BSL works, the Shakespearean language, both in English and in BSL. But with the wrestling, wow, that's another visual language. So we've got three languages working together. And then it's interesting how they then combine. And because it's an additional visual language, so you've got two visual languages, the original Shakespearean text, the BSL and the wrestling, and then working with those three with the drama and the visuality of the physical nature of the characters. That's been really interesting to explore. So I'm hoping we'll get opportunity to explore it and develop it further in the future.
Oliver Alvin Wilson, 1623, Associate Director.
I absolutely love today. What amazing kind of experience to see up close the artistry of wrestling, the work that goes in, the craft. I did not expect to get involved so much, but I loved it. I loved feeling the power of the wrestling ring and feeling that on your chest. I loved it, and I never used to watch wrestling that much when I was younger, but I will now, and I'll keep an eye out for all the little tricks, but I loved it. It's a great day.
Professor Andy Kesson.
I've been blown away watching the world of Shakespeare, theatre, actors and wrestling come together today, mapping out Shakespeare in the ring and seeing what happens when we look at three different Shakespeare plays. I guess I'm particularly struck at what happens when we have text-led explorations of Shakespeare versus movement led explorations of a scene, really seeing things start to take off as we step away from the words and towards movement.
Stephen and Paddy reach for the ceiling. A group of people sit on the floor, chat and listen. Two women fight in the ring. One of them is Evie. Ben smiles and speaks. Polly Lister, 1623 Associate Artist.
Totally awesome day. Just beautiful melding of all those different art forms and just a celebration of how they can all work together and how they all inform each other. And at the end of the day, it's just storytelling, whatever art form you're taking. If you want to take an audience with you, just tell the story clearly, and somehow involving the wrestling just makes it so visceral and makes the language combative as well. And so you absolutely know when your insult or your love bomb lands. It's gorgeous. What a day.
Winona Makanji, professional
It
wrestler.
was really enjoyable today. It made me think back to the saying that wrestling is drag and drag is wrestling, because it's kind of like makes you realise that wrestling fits into so many different categories and it's not just that one thing. But we really delve into the storytelling aspect of wrestling. I think the new saying today that I found is wrestling is Shakespeare and Shakespeare is wrestling.
Wrestling Resurgence is an arts organisation dedicated to celebrating the very best of contemporary wrestling culture. 1623 theatre company shaping and sharing creativity based on community experiences and Shakespeare's plays. Troy Grant Media.